So this cousin is without excuse, y'all. Like, she is literally more without excuse than even I can ever be without excuse. She went to a Catholic school for a primary school, and then she went to a Jewish school for a high school. And in both spaces, she was taught Jesus of the Christians in the Catholic school, and then she was taught the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Jewish school. And I guess there were Jewish kids in the school, so she had friends there that were Jewish. And she loved them like a fat kid loves cake. And because of her Jewish friends, she had a very lofty opinion of Jews in a way that I did not have understanding of the Jews at all. So I had no opinion about them at all. Because I attended, the only Jew that I knew when I was on the come up was a chick in my class in grade 8 and grade 9 that every so often used to talk about what they do within Judaism, but that was it, right? I did not have that kind of in-depth understanding. Because she attended a Jewish school, unlike the rest of us in pagan schools or secular schools or non-religious schools, they also taught a lot about the Holocaust. It was through my cousin that I found out about people like, who is that chick? The Diary of Anne, wow, how in the world is this even eluding me? How could it elude me? You know that girl that wrote a diary and they found her diary after she had passed away? Anne Frank, yeah, because she used to attend a Jewish school, they focused very, very hotly on the story of Anne Frank. They focused a lot on the Holocaust. She told me so many stories about Hitler and how he was just this monstrous guy that killed all the Jews and he was just horrible. And then there's this beautiful young girl, Anne Frank, who wrote a diary because that was influence that she was fed in the school that she attended. So I found out about Anne Frank. I found out about Hitler from her. I did not study about the Holocaust in any of my schools. Like, none of the schools that I attended focused on Jewish history or even the Holocaust. Maybe they might have touched on it very little, but largely we learned about apartheid, South Africa, our history, and even then, most of it I learned when I was in university more than it was high school. But anyhow, Jewish history was taught me hanyane by my cousin, and because I used to love my cousin and look up to her, and she was my very, very best friend in the whole entire world. Her loves were my loves, her appreciations were my appreciations, her adorations were my adorations, and her pet peeves were my pet peeves. So I hated Jew hatred, and I loved Jews because my cousin loved them, because she attended a Jewish school and had Jewish friends. It could have literally gone any other way, because anti-Semitism has always been a thing, but God inspired Jew love in me through my cousin from a very early age. I've never had room to dislike Jews because my cousin was just besotted with them as a child. So was I. My cousin was besotted with the Jews as a little girl, and so was I. Because of her influence, right? Yeah. Because my cousin very well. I don't know what her stance is now today. I don't know if she's pro-Palestinian, what's going on. A whole bunch of people are turning their backs on the Jews now. I don't know what her stand is, but she certainly is without excuse, given that she, not only, like I said, she went to a Catholic primary, and then she went to a Jewish high school. Yeah, like, how is this woman so daft concerning the things of God? The hearing ear and the seeing eye both are from the Lord. Listen, I don't know how my cousin is so satanic today. I literally don't. Angazi. I don't even know how she can justify her life before friends that she had when she was in high school. Angazi. She hates the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in a way that don't make no sense, because clearly, he gave her instruction. She was weaned off the breasts of paganism by the right schools. Our parents were not all that careful for God, but man, how they love to just throw us in religious schools, and it just worked out. Anyway, whatever. But I had some kind of training pertaining Jew love through my cousin as a child, and that was indeed God. He helped me. He made sure that by the time, first of all, he made sure that all throughout my upbringing and my young adulthood, I don't ever hate the Jews, and that nobody can ever tell me anything different, because my cousin loved them and I loved her, and so I followed her everywhere she went. He made sure that I never ever had any room open in my heart for the hatred of Jews, and then he got me saved, and then showed me once I was born again later on that he all this time had been foreshadowing my future life. And when I was like I told you, this cousin, okay, so I only had, I guess, 2 cousin sets that attended religious institutions, not institutions, but schools that were focused a lot on the Christian Judeo Foundation. Only 2 of them went up to matric with it, but I kid you not, the ones who went up to matric with it are literally the most evil. They're the most satanic cousins I have ever had. For crying out loud. What was going on over there? The guy, o feditse matric in a Catholic school. And so much so was he influenced by Catholicism that he wanted to become a priest. But his motivation to become a Catholic priest was money. Why did you not see Christ in that? Like, I've been lamenting. Why did you not see Christ but rather money? I have been lamenting that I wish I was born again young so that I never ever had sex. I have said here plenty of times before that I wish I'd never broken my virginity. I wish I had stayed consecrated to God, and I wish I had stayed. I had been raised in an environment that was always just hammering Christ down to me because I was always receptive to the things of God. I was always very malleable, very trainable, very teachable. And when I got taught these things, I always took them an extra mile beyond what all the other children would. So I was very serious about my Catholic faith when I was a child. But then I was moved to I guess the devil must have seen it though. If she stays in these Christian schools or in these Jesus-y schools, one day she's going to be a young girl with a big mind that is inquisitive and happen upon text that's gonna hook her like a fishy in the ocean with a lure. And then she's gone. The devil, like he saw just how much I loved God. If at all he kept being told me. If at all he kept on being shoved in my face. And as a child, the Lord was shoved in my face in these schools, and I took him very seriously. I was low-key devout when I was in Mayfair Convent, and then I was moved to Winchester Ridge Primary, and I became pagan like a Moabite. I became pagan like an Amorite. I became pagan like a Canaanite. I became pagan like a Jebusite. I became pagan like a Philistine. Y'all gonna know what time it is. I was just taken by the tsunami of nonsense, and it would take me turning 26 years old and going to a Mqembe party of a friend of mine that was turning 25. And at that party, seeing as my boyfriend and I were broken up, I was like, how must I do me? How long must I make a guy wait before we have sex? And some chick out here responded by saying, wait until marriage. I was like, what? You gotta test the goods. And then she started blurting stuff about soul ties all up in my grill, and I was like, she spoke about this religious stuff in a club, in a dancey atmosphere, some kind of very vibrant dancey restaurant. And even though this chick did not give me answers that were satisfactory, I couldn't let whatever she said go. And I took it home and I researched myself, and that's how I got born again. Long story short, if I had reiteratively, perpetually, and consistently been awarded the gospel, I would have repented early in my life. I am sure of it, but it took up to 26. So we had sex, and that sucks. Abangani mom, why they didn't evangelize me, literally we don't know. I can't tell you anything. I can't satisfactory. I can't. Cause never can I About busy about blooming limpinchy. What's happening next, guys? But every so often they would drop bombs like, when you commit suicide you will go to hell. And thanks to saying stuff like that, I didn't commit suicide when I was 21 years old, because the moment I tried to drown myself in a bathtub in my mom's house, I heard her saying, people who commit suicide go to hell. And I stayed alive for no other reason but that voice in my head. It was from my friend, but it turns out that it was from God. That there is a doctrinal thing that we can discuss another day, but it saved me at 21. Long story short, anything at all that had to do with Jesus, the Spirit of God, heaven, hell, even if it was mentioned like a whiff in passing, vroom, like a vehicle airling very fast on a highway, vroom, it just stuck. It blew me away, and I lingered. So all that it would have taken was somebody to sit me down and explain stuff, and I would have been, I kid you not, a 14-year-old born-again child of the living God. I would not have had sex. I would have waited on the Lord for my husband. I would not have cared about parties, clubs, because on the day when I finally got it, nobody could tell me anything. And people are trying to make me walk away from God. You didn't explain the gospel to me. That's the only reason why it took me so long to get born again. But once I got understanding, I didn't look back. To a point where I've been suffering now for 11 years. And I'm still holding on to this God because he was finally properly explained. And even then, he wasn't explained. I researched him. Because South Africa, you are dropping the ball pertaining not only evangelism, but discipleship. When I made my own decision to start researching, that's when I solidified. So if I had relied on you to not only evangelize me but also disciple me, I would still to this day keep on taking a whiff from a speeding car, dropping some kind of gospel truth in my grill, being all perplexed and shaken, and then dust it off and move on and carry on with a worldly lifestyle. I would have carried on like that until I died. But the lost sheep, God fetches him or her. The prodigal son, God waits for him or her. And so too does the Lord identify where the lost coin is at. Until one day that speeding vehicle, it could not speed by fast enough because she was sitting with me, Karabo, and I kept on probing and asking asking for however many hours we were there. So she couldn't escape me. She couldn't. All the others were drive-by shootings. Drive-by shootings. I remember this one girl saying to me, I was like, I'm a Leo. Yeah, because I was born on the 8th of August. And she's like, hey, that's astrology and it's a sin against God. When she said that, I was like, huh? We were having lunch at Design Quarters in 4 ways. It was around the same time I was about to get born again. I'm out your answer. My birthday's coming up on the 8th of August. I'm a Leo, so this is what I'm going to do. And then she just dropped this bomb all up in my grill, and she was like, that's astrology and it is a sin against God. And then she was like, I'm joking, I'm kidding. However, in the 5 seconds where she said, that's a sin against God, it's astrology, it's abominable, I was like, huh? I was like, eh. However, she drive-by shot past that, but it lingered. Shapileka drive-by shooting, kodwa lingara. This was when I was interrogating the things of God. This was after her, she was the one with the 25th birthday party. This was after her friend spoke about soul ties. I was yet to get born again, but I was intrigued about the things of God. And she told me that astrology is a sin. And I was busy interrogating the things of God. Wangi correct when I told her I'm a Leo. And then she said, I'm joking. Grace Bible Church. Yeah, now she said she was joking. I was like, but with your drive-by shooting. Samaya with your high-speed car chase. Go on with you slapping me with gospel truth and then taking it back. But I am sticking with whatever you dropped and said it was an error. I'm staying with it. Why? Because it landed on my spirit like a millstone. Gah! God was like, take it. Don't let the devil steal that seed. Take it. We say I'm joking. She says she's joking. Same night. When I got home, I went in my laptop. Somebody said dongle yako MTN, data yako msebetsi. Is astrology a sin? All these articles, all these YouTube videos. On that day, I abandoned ever calling myself a Leo ever again. I abandoned ever reading my horoscope ever again. Astrology is a sin. I'm joking. And I got convicted that it was because the Spirit of God caught it like a speeding fishy trying to escape your catch. And God was like, Kotile, tolile, topile. Karabo zoithatha lento, run with it where now that says the right thing and then retract because you're scared of being told where to get off. But with your doctrines of demons and destructive heresies, you have exchanged the truth of God for a lie. Go on right ahead and keep on saying you are sorry for giving people the truth. But as for my daughter, she's gonna run with it. Still to this day, you will never hear me calling myself a woman of the light or a woman of the lion spirit because I'm a Leo. Astrology is my mythology. It was language that was on my tongue all my life since I was a child. Because of one drive-by shooter. What I'm trying to explain is that without just chilling, lodging, or at least lingering. But once I make a decision to self-study, nobody can uproot me. I need the bathroom. And I found another pin. It's always been here, because my hairstyle is so tight. Just to look all cute like a Chinese lady. What do you think? It's giving that Chinese music. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, my deceptive cousin. So I told you about my cousin. The Jewish school. We're still talking about hair. Yeah, we are. And we're still talking about Jesus, because that's the primary story. We're still talking about how it is that God is going to deal all of y'all a bad blow. And we're still talking about how some of y'all, however, gonna get born again through it. Amen. We still talking. Anyway, Harriet Swelling Bailey. But guys, little girls. Okay, moving on. So, hey, Gimo, this deceptive little guy that at some point at the age of 17 would even want to become a pastor because of, how much money there is to be made over there. There was already the love of money in him. Evidently, he of course never became, not so much of course, it's not obvious. He never became a religious man at all. If anything, quite the extreme. He became one of the most prolific little witch doctors that I've ever known. Because I guess religion didn't work out for him. He could not maintain holiness, righteousness. We take it to feel like crime. Ikinza today. Ikinza glorified, like proper, that's what he is. Like he's into random crime. Alright? Because Khale Njafela agata money by any means necessary. Very intelligent guy, could have done better by himself, but didn't. And is among one of the biggest afflictors of my person. Today, Gabuloyi and Nayanale, like I said, both of the cousins that had some kind of religious influence were the ones that turned out to be among the most evil, the most evil, right? Amidst all of my cousins, like, yeah, they are the most diabolical, like, the most, by far, yeah. Especially the guy. The only reason why the girl is highlighted that much is because she was my very, very close, very tight. At some point, the boy cousin, we grew apart because of his lifestyle. He became a GBV monster. Yahushapari girlfriend. And that was just so unsavory that all of us just kind of broke away from him because he just became such a nasty guy. That's the only reason why. I don't hear very much about him because we stopped being close. But the girl, nigga tight all the way up until I came to Christ. And then waba arrive. But the guy is literally by far the most evil human being in the family. Like, by far. Okay? It's just that the chick is mentioned, highlighted a whole bunch. Precisely because she was in binge, like, very tight. We were so full stop. She stopped it. Yeah, okay. So because we were tight, thanks to the passions. Busy ganna, hadno. Busy ganna. And hape ke molora haholo because, like I said, the tightness is what makes her appear to be the most evil among them all. But I am a big victim of hers precisely because Nerele like that. Wamushimane, however, busy meeting South Africa yonke. And that's why he is, like I said, by far the most evil monstrosity. Go family. Anyhow. Now that I've mentioned that, the boy. I am like 7, he's like 9. Tiny little years old. Do you understand? I'm 9, he's 7. Rego mapetla. I thought we're visiting, but it turns out I'm being dropped off. And this boy butters me up at that little tiny age. It is no wonder he became whatever under heaven it is that he is today. It is no wonder at the age of my 9 and his 11, I dreamed about him in hell. Keha motako now, 4 years earlier, saying to me, Skawara man Karabo. Re tlo tla ka osanero lata go ya ko Gold Reef City. O tlhape o itsokotse. We're gonna pick you up. It's just that go gae, go tladi. Ha gona dimpeto tse enough. Ha gona mempeto e enough. Bona ba bangata jwang bana. Little known to myself that he's gonna get dropped off ko habona where he stays ko Zameni. My cousins stay already, babang, with my grandmother ko di rumong le basadi le batswadi ba teng. My sister is among them. Mara ena dula ko ntlong. So, therefore, essentially the fun and games is over now. I think it was the end of school holidays. Fun and games is over, which is why it was in the middle of the week that this happened. Fun and games is over now. And so everybody's going back home. Because all this time. And the cousins that visited over the holidays, that's why we were convoying. Marana, they decided to drop me off together because I'm going to throw my toys at the cot. So, Bankapileda in the name of Sio Vagasha. Ngene motweni re rata mareu as bana. I get to be why ke le classic kajeko because when I was a child I used to like mareu a koloi ke kena koloing mareu re fitla ko mapetla he ke fitla ko mapetla and I start to throw my toys at the cot on some. I'm not staying here. I'm not staying. I sang the opposite of Jennifer Hudson's song. I'm telling you, I am going to wherever you're going. Cause all this time I've been living there. No way. No way you're leaving without me. And cousin you, uncle you, mother you, you're gonna keep me. You're gonna keep me. I'm staying. Or rather, I'm leaving. Anyway, mara because cousin I was throwing my toys at the cot. Nobody could khona me. My mom didn't khona me. The lady whose house it was didn't khona me. Her daughters didn't khona me. Uncle didn't. Nobody. Cousins except for this incha. Except for my Bumba cousin, best friend, one of my besties, boy cousin. And he was like, it's more than you, and it's more than me. At the end of the day, we are a family. We're gonna pick you up tomorrow morning first thing and take you, Bumblebee, to Gold Reef City. It's just that right about now there are too many children in the house and there aren't enough sponges on us to sleep on as a family. We are a family. family like a giant tree. That's why you have to concede. There's not enough space for us in that one house. So you're gonna sleep here for one night. It's like a hotel stay, but you'll be with us to tomorrow, and then go to Gold Reef City. After that, we're gonna eat ice cream and waffles. We are family. Musical, like it's Dream Girls. Get cousin name Pinelanga Base, it's more than you, more than me. Motona on convincing. Because they could not handle me throwing my toes out the cot, y'all. Nekin def like it I used to live there, so why can't I go home? Bang movie and like sign up for move. And then this cousin started singing me Dream Girls medley. I'm leaving instead of I'm staying. Yanang pinela we are a family. Hi, Maraita, hi, Tigadula. Kana kwa tengi haki buta kazi yaka. But what about indaba yako tingisha leza? What about taba ya uriko tladi ki ko khaye? What about taba ya uriki khanen tekile mone kana kwa ko fela? Then the cousin was like, it's more than you, and it's more than me. Already I was being shown, typologically, by Jesus Christ, that the day is gonna come when your family members are gonna try to sing you, we are a family, like a giant tree. After you would complain, what about how I feel? What about what's best for me? What about me? And they would all be like, it's more than you, and it's more than me. Even though we bewitch you for years, we are a family. And we are there now today in 2025, Hlongwane. The Lord was showing me that not only would people in my family sing me, we are a family, but people in my friendship circle, essentially everywhere where I was brokenhearted by some randos, they don't try to sing me that gangster song because they will have made an observation of what appears to be no God coming through for me. And me having no other option but to just accommodate them. And so even though all these years I've been singing, but what about my career? What about my love for God? What about your witchcraft? And they will say it's more than all of that, and it's more than any of that. At the end of the day, you are our family. Karabo, come on, you've been lonely for too long. It's at that sweet spot when the rapture happens. Then you're gonna know, God never left me, God never forsook me. He was always preparing me ever since I was a little child for the day when you will be dropped off where you don't want to stay. But in that time, you are going to enjoy yourself. You are going to be happiest. You're going to be at peace. You're going to receive a love you've never understood coming from your immediate family. And afterwards, whoop, I'm going to vacuum you like some clothes in a chute in How Do I Look into the sky. And these randos are going to be like, I guess it was more than me and my idolatry. At the end of the day, I am a satanist. You admit it? And like I said, you gon' dab. Like I said, you gon' dab, baby girl. You gon' be here on some it's more cafe spot. It's more than all of my idolatry. At the end of the day, I am a sultry devil worshipper. But there is a holy God, and He effects justice. You gon' sing the right song while you dabbing, baby girl, dabbing with a cotton bud and maybe some tissue. More than me and my idolatry. At the end of the day, I was so satanic. Like I been right. I'm bang tissue. Yeah, so here it lies this like rando singing me is more than me, more than you. And I bit as a child. I ain't biting no more. I ain't biting. You gonna be dabbing, but I ain't biting. I guess bye. Mami lang, That just came in there. But anyway, whatever. Highly busy, guys. So this cousin thinks me more than me, more than you, and he basically says that, listen, stay here. We're gonna pick you up. Literally, he said, show Gold Reef City. We get very shiny. Sunbeam. Shiner girl. Ne? Here's the reason why I want to see. Convoy. This is a 7-year-old. Convoy. Space. Listen, all this time when they were all this time when go Tadi, never check it over the holidays. Really squeezed with each other like sardines, and it wasn't a problem during the holidays. But now all of a sudden there's no space. I bought it. Hook, line, baby girl, and sinker. I was a goner. I was gone with the wind. I was running like Forrest with a lie. Hey, I wasn't a critical thinker then, like I am now. On some mara really busy, really squeezing, got this sardine, got a pilchard, fish mara, can got like his stuff. Never go then. Maragaza go to put the problem. To a point when not something uncomfortable go inclunya osmamos. Can it? My cousin told me there's not enough space. But girls, I never got for Gold Reef City. Well, of course, the next morning I woke up, and was the next day back to school or the next 2 days? I believe it was back to school the next day. So the next day, a uniform, and I was taken to school. No, Gold Reef City. You can imagine I get so and bathed. How that must have felt when I got woken up very early in the morning and told me Tsiki out and I go but I didn't care. It was one of those houses where there's a toilet outside, like if a room. There's a toilet kamontle. Like the other day, I even used Pina in the RE. It's the little things, joy and happiness, peace. It's the little things and the joy they bring. My grandmother's house was like a full house, a full bathroom, flushing toilets, everything. Kamoharan through plumbing, 100%. Mole nele for room where o tlhapela mo sekotlolong tshwantse o chese o boile metsi ene metsi teng na boilwa ko stofong. Was it stove samalahle? Or was it no? It was a regular stove. Metsi na shiswa mo stofong. Awomwa, so you have to prep. You have to wake up super early, warm the water. O tshele mo ga bagete, o tlhapele mo bageteng. We tsaseka di pontshe we poshonke. Peeing. In every room, in every bedroom. There were only 2 bedrooms because it was a 4-room house and it had 2 bedrooms, and the one bedroom was the main Nkhono's bedroom, Osmamusa, and the other bedroom the 2 girls shared it. The teenage daughters shared it, and I used to sleep with the one girl in her bed. And in these rooms, I don't know what is gang. It's like a thing that people pee into at night. They're usually used for elderly people that struggle to walk to bathrooms and whatnot. But the ruetena were inside the house, not because people could not walk to the bathrooms. It was that you would have to unlock the house and go outside and pee. Go toilet that does flush, right? The toilet they did flush. So it's not like when you did the number 2, you had to go through too much. Mara, all that had to be done by maybe like 11 p.m. at night afterwards, of which Tanzalikie. And so when you need to do the number 1 to pee, you would pee ko sirueng, and in the morning you would then grab that bucket, siru or whatever, and then sapa. Do you understand? And then of course during the day people use the toilet that is outside that flushes kachini. Yeah. That was that situation in my grandmother's house, however. And I'd lived going to Ena before. And every time I would go back to my grandmother's house, I would feel such a relief that, yeah, this is like modern living, lifestyle, like the back then version. I would feel the convenience of living in my at my grandmother's house, because it is convenient to live in those kinds of conditions, but when you get used to that kind of life where you're trying to like literally handling your own urine, gross. When you get used to that, it stops being taxing, but then you realize that you missed it when you go into a more urbanized house. And my grandmother's house was that urbanized house. but her best friend's house was still out there doing 4-room setup. Mara lerato lada. Utando, that was all up in that joint. There was so much love that I forgot, like as in amnesia, as in dementia. Remind me again, I forgot about the pain of the Lord was showing me that one day in the future they're going to do that to you, baby girl. But I'm going to pour so much love into you. I am going to pour so much love into you in meager, lowly circumstance, in a meager space. La usina toilet e flasha. Oh, robala ko seruweng. Oh, robala le motho. Ko ka moreng o sena bedroom ya gago. Ke tlo go fa lerato hure so much in this environment that it won't matter, that it's taxing for you to have to go outside to use the bathroom. All that is going to be a small price to pay for all this cushy comfort, to a point where haneseba ile nako ya umlata nekella. Yazi labantu like, why you are dismantling and unhinging my peace? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you throw me in an ecosystem, now you want me to go back. Like, God showed me that the day's gonna come and my family. Like to and from my older sister and the blood of my grandmother. Same mom, same dad. But the separation of which could be felt. It was alive. It was like my twins being ripped apart because my older sister and I so it wasn't comfortable apart, and yet they kept separating us, evidencing that it was just unfair towards me in particular. I was just being thrown away. I was a casualty for a casual thing to do, a mere formality. Do you understand? And then afterwards, because we miss her, she's ours. At some point, kicking and screaming. When they would come and pick me up, it's like, yo, you dropped me here. Now that I love this place, you want me to go? Like, leave me alone. Let me explain. Let me ask Kulume. Me, I'm a storyteller. You know I can speak for hours. So sit down, go grab coffee and croissant. Baby girl, let's go and converse anywhere. Everybody but I convoy Cloud trouble going to a WEF meeting with a multi-vehicle car convoy about to complain about carbon emissions. Carbon emissions. And I'm looking around at this lackluster, lowly house. 4-room. The walls are not that colorful. We need electricity at least so we can watch the Popeye, we can watch TV. Mara, I guess here. Kasiwa kontunyanya a little Barbie doll house. When I came from Baza yang khunwak kotlaji, cause nele Baza, literally biggest house on the street. Baza yang khunwak ratswa kotrengi, galahlelwa kontlunyana kitchen ya tengikana. Whereas my grandmother's kitchen, you could run laps in it and actually get taught, like taking trained, looking like you do calisthenics. Kitwa kontlung whose kitchen you could echo your voice in. And now I gotta move from one place to another. I'm knocking my knees into something. Being that little, yeah, I go from a baza to that little shell of a house. And it is what it is. The next morning, it's all good in the hood. I realized at this point that they lied to me. I don't have gold receipts. They lied to me. I'm here permanently because I'm not going to school after Gold Reef City. After school, I'm not going to Gold Reef City after school. I'm back. I already lived there before. When I was in crèche. This is not primary school. I'm like, I'm going to school primary. Mind you, primary school thing. Like, they just kept doing this to me. My cousin. Who also lived with my grandmother. She lived with her parents. I was living on the same property with them. Like I said, Daddy was a place to be for kids under 10. It was party, it was fun. All the kids wanted to be there. And then here, there's barely any children. I'm shy. I struggle to make friends. And I didn't have friends in this space. I did not have the next door neighbor's child or anything. I did not have even children that lived in that community as my friends. Party when I was komapetla. I was not partaking in children's activities. Abangan were the people who lived there. When I was living in Mapetla the entire time, and this is precisely because of my personality. I'm shy. I've been shy all my life. I was shy. As a child, I struggled to make friends by myself, okay? I needed to be accompanied by other kids in order for me to make friends. It's like I became the friends of whoever my friend was friends with. So I became friends with whoever my cousin's friends were friends with. I became friends in high school, in schools. I would become friends with the girls that were in my class because they were always there, and I would just kind of, by default kind of mesh with them. But you would never see me being friends with a girl in another grade, in another class, in another whatever. I would be friends with them because they were in my environment anyway. That's how I ever made any friend at all that was outside of my immediate sphere of influence. When I was in high school, I made friends out of girls in other grades because I was in drummies with them, right? But I could never ever just be in grade 9 and have friends in grade 11 or even grade 8 because I'm so social. Like, I was never that girl. It was always like that with me. So I always ran, I'm sorry, with whatever company I was allotted. I always ran with whatever company I was allotted. That was my affiliation. That is who and only who I hung out with. Nobody else, nothing else ever gave. Still to this day. So if my company allotted me is Ukoko, that's in her 60s or 70s. And if my company are teenage girls that are in high school, and at the time, the way that was so long ago, high school was not called even standard 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It was called Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. These chicks were in Form whatever in high school. The daughters of Osma Musa. No, it was not the daughters of Osma Musa. It was the grandchildren. Like, these older ladies, kadi grandkids. That woman was old. She was significantly older. Those girls were not her daughters. They were the children of her children. So her children, still to this day, I give a say. But I do know that the teenage girls that were living there could not get enough of me. They couldn't get enough. Oh guys, it's like I was an iPhone to those kids. I'm not lying to you. The way that you would see a teenager, I live here, mobile iPhone. Those girls looked at me like I was some elaborate new iPhone on the market. They were always here, they were always playing with me. Like, it's like, you're a teenage girl. How about they rushed home just to hang with me. Like, it was so... The only reason that I know that I was cute, the only reason I know I was cute as a child is because of those girls. iPhone. I am not lying. So I get taken to school. So I get the one in whose bed I was sleeping, Naniki. I will never forget her. So I get this chick, and then she walks me to school before she goes to school. Everybody's in school uniform at this point, but I'm like in primary, they're in high school. Walks me to school and then goes to her own school, and this becomes like a whole thing. And every day when she's walking me to school, she's playing with me. She's kicking stones at me, and I'm kicking them back to her. Muddying our kiwi keeps our shoes protected for a long, long time. After school, I get picked up by Osma Musa. Like the woman, the gogo self picked me up after school because her daughters could not pick me up after school because high schools ended later than primary schools. Like at 2 p.m. What's happening? What am I hearing? At 2 p.m. that's when high school came on, but primary schools maybe felt like about 1, 12:30, 1. Yeah. So I could not just wait around for a high school kid to come and pick me up. So after school came, what do you call this? The grandmother, she had energy. She could she walked and picked me up and then went back home with me. And Lena Osman Musa, she was so sweet. Everybody loved me all up in that joint. And the weird ironic thing about that environment is that that first ever primary school that I ever been at, right? Yeah. Where I was at for maybe 2 years. I was maybe from grade 1 to 2. And then grade 2 I was in 3 different schools. I told you that, right? Mayfair Convent, Dumelang, and St. Matthew's. Yeah, I was there for 2 years, go Dumelang, and my cousin also started out go Dumelang. And this cousin of mine that stayed go Jarateng go Habona. Go here, so go Khunung's house, go Tladi. Go Banalina go Skolong. Guys, it's just, I literally don't understand. I don't get it. Make me understand. I'm going to school, and when I'm at school, I see my cousin, and we are happy to see each other. We play with each other. It does not dawn on me that Nilasiwe. And then after school, my grown-up high school age boy cousin picks up he's not high school age. Sorry, he's out of high school now, right? He picks up the kids from primary school, but like a different person, and we fork. And I'm like, bye-bye, I can see you tomorrow. And this thing would go on for like another year or whatever, right? Bye-bye, I'll see you tomorrow. It goes on for another year. And in that year, I was given so much love. Like I said, Naniki Lynn Tabizeng, these sisters, in the same room of which I used to sleep, and I would sleep in particular with Naniki. They did not consider me a burden, they didn't look at me like until, you know, yes, of course, and whatnot, but a lot of times they rushed home just to hang with me. Like, yeah. And then I used to have like just an absolute adoration of peanut butter. I can tell you why today it's not Tabaliona. But I was such a big fan of peanut butter, and peanut butter is and always will be expensive. Okay? Nebang peanut butter every so often against the rules of the house. Peanut butter adura, and we are struggling to make ends meet. But Karabo likes peanut butter, so I'm gonna give her like a whole big scoop of peanut butter, like it's peanut butter, and I will then lick it. Like peanut butter in my grandmother's house. We used to get kept go shelf and it would then get spread on our sandwiches when it was being given us jam or whatever. But I never did anybody ever do me a favor to actually scoop peanut butter out of the bottle and give me just to lick on it. I was like, this only here happens kontlunya usmamusa. Kontla di kontlunya khona fi peanut butter ko lepeleng. Habana talaga na le fetish ya peanut butter. Or obsession, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, peanut butter. I used to get given scoops of peanut butter, yo. It was like ice cream to me. I loved it. Yeah, and I was like, where else am I gonna find that kind of spoiling? Wait, cause spoil like I happen like a peanut butter guy fell. I didn't trade saying, "Ke mango mo tong fang lepele peanut butter man." No one. So I was like, I'm staying. Finally, I sang the right version of I'm staying because one fateful day, 1 year later. One fateful day, 1 year later. Kaladiwa. It was like maybe like school holidays. My older sister and the boy cousin, was smooth talker. So now he's 8. No, he's 8. Yeah, now he's 8-9. Now he's 8-9. My older sister is also 8-9 like him. And then my little cousin is my age. She's we are at this stage like 6-7, right? Yeah. Bali 3 or 4. The kids. Bali 3 or 4. So, y'all know in black culture, it don't matter how young you are. You be out walking around in the middle of downtown Joburg, una 7. That's cool, but this is a bag behind you. Le oswa haho onang le 12. And you are commuting alone in this vast, grand Johannesburg. Le palamari taxi go bri. Because just give them imalio komba. And trust that the community of black people will take care of them along the way. It was before the days of human trafficking. If they were in America, I'd be like, pass up Epstein. Anyway, whatever. That was before the days of such activity. I don't know if that's still being done. But last time I was in downtown Joburg, I frequented that place a lot. Like when I was at this university, we used to be out to finding kids like that, traveling alone. So, of course, you can see they are littered, but everywhere. Abantwana like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, just walking around and sometimes even all ashy, walking by themselves, no parental guidance. Not today, the prospect of it makes me shudder. But I realize that the only reason why it makes me shudder is because the world has become so evil. Like back when I was watching Netflix, I stopped watching Netflix because it's just evil, including another show that I'm about to talk about. So I'm not sending you over there to go and watch it. Please don't. It's evil. It's satanic. But I watched Stranger Things. And Stranger Things is set in the context of like the 60s or 70s or something, right? And the kids there are young. And they always just go stratengari bicycle. And they travel around easily, in a way that now today, literally can't nobody afford any of that. Like you can't just let your scheme of 12-year-old boys, your scheme of 13-year-old, you're not even 13 per se, even that, like your scheme of like 6-year-old, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old children just hang out until like 6:30 and then trust that every last one of them gonna get home. Are people still doing that? I can't fathom it. Like I shudder at the mere prospect of letting my 13-year-old daughter, and I'm saying 13, that old. I can't, like, if I had one. I don't have a daughter just in case you are coming into the space for the first time. I'm using an analogy. I cannot fathom letting my 13-year-old daughter leave the house after coming back home from school, right? At like 3 p.m. and come back at 6:30. Ke sa tsebang ko yo. Ale mo ang dungja fela ntse le up and down na zola. Mo strateng even here in Wilgevel. I literally didn't think that they fall. I can't fathom it. I literally cannot. My younger sister was born in 2001, and while my mother could let us roam the streets of Soweto, even downtown Joburg, North, Van Brandyskort, Renale about 2 years old. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but you get my point. Sinabo my 12, Sinabo my 11. She could not do it with my little sister. The world has gotten evil. Do you think that with this trajectory of wickedness that we are still gonna be here for a minute? Yo, you is giving naive like all the day long. It's just giving daft. Anyway, yeah, my little sister, well, I should know, ever since I could remember, na dropwa off aladiwa, and if she's going to be blooming, blomalai jartini, nabantu abazomvakashele jartini, and if she's going to go and bloom somewhere else, uyo dropwa kule somewhere else yakhona alandwe futhi. Kwamele kwazi ukuthi ukuphi mara hozola Hashem. No. Ukuzula. My little sister akwazi ukuthi ukuzula yini. It was a delicacy, a treat. It was like snowfish. It was a delicacy that you will never know about if you've never grown up ekasi. Can you snowfish? Can you white leaf? Yo! It sounds nice, but I've never seen or heard of it in my life. It's an ancient figure. It's an apparition, a ghost, a poltergeist. It's haunting now, because I ain't never seen it for real. But guess what? It's in the house, because those who grew up in a certain time by a kumbula, so it's a haunting. A homing around of turn in 2025 is like a poltergeist, a haunting. It's like snowfish egasi. Uyasazi so siyahonta kodwa usigcine nini. And umntana khona 7 doesn't even know what it is. Alright, sure. Very well. So Ozi waka omunyane khalanza latiwa, and still to this day as a 24-year-old woman osentene adropwa ki uba ukomba komi. Oh, my mother couldn't fathom it. She couldn't fathom it. She shudders at the thought, and I still shudder at the thought of ngiyekela nje i-13-year-old ukuthi zule, but I guess kusazula in the Kasi. There was a time when I was made to live go Cosmo City, and the kids there were still Zolare. I guess it still happens in the Kasi. Mararona ba gentrified ba khudla modi sabab, so akusazulwa anymore. And I mean, I can't even fathom lokuzula wakhona. Mina personally as Karabo, never ke motlogela ngwana ka, even though le nna gale ke ntse ke zola ko Van Brandis. I would never let it happen, cause kushule la emgaqweni. Kushubile. It's 2 Timothy 3. Last days, men are lovers of themselves, lovers of money, full of rape, boastful, proud, blasphemous, full of child trafficking, disobedient to parents, abusive, unthankful, unholy, despisers of those who do good, sex traffickers. I'm sorry. So that's why I'm not having children. Mara, when all the ambition is mostrating monana, hake batlo ngwana no ka se tlogono no atlo o ka se tlogono ho zo la stratang ka re o go Stranger Things. Ne, bana ba go Stranger Things ba ko America kwa le bana ba tsala ne ba rata o zola ne ba khona o zola. I'm pretty sure today baka se khona o zola same way. Stranger Things, which is set in the US, if they could fathom a time when kids could just zola like that in the street, it means it used to be a thing as well. Nase America. Namhlanje Donald Trump has declared martial law on Washington, on DC. Because kids can't zola no more. There's drug traffickers, sex traffickers all over the show until there's that kind of lockdown by your head of state. When you are imploring, what do they call this? What do we call this? Like the National Guard. Like, yeah. Martial law, National Guard. Go America, go DC right now as we speak. Namhlanje in August, 19 August. Martial law go DC. The left in America is up in arms. Because Donald Trump has clamped down on the crime all up in that joint that is astronomical, exceeding that of the country in total ever and the world. On that day. Anyway, but that was before. In the streets, dusty ones of that. Shortly after apartheid of Afrique du Sud. It's giving Stranger Things. Bantwana bazule stratini ngama skateboard, zule stratini ngama bicycle, zule stratini too serious. Shapaka di gaga di taking yana tsa go taboga. Cousin yaka, my grandmother's house, right? It was quite a walk, especially for small little legs. To get to my bed, it was an arduous journey. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, one day, aroma uswaka, aroma cousin yaga of which was visiting again from Hlongwane. Aroma cousin yaga who lives there, my bestie, somebody else. Nebali 4. They came, Batlongla. Nkunaka was like Samuela Karabo, and we need there to be a few of you that go, cause twenty literally lit the hap and liti aparoza. So twenty mutusu kukari di bag. Aroma bana, And like in Stranger Things, ke haba palama di bicycle, but instead of the bicycle, they're two series. One day I'm sitting there, I've got so much love. I've got so much love in this environment. I'm loving it. Mamela, I don't have friends, but my company is older people, and they all love me so much that I am content with not hanging out with little people. And then one day, as I'm chilling, hanging out, maxing and relaxing at around 4:30 in the afternoon, with their ashy, dusty knees, having perused the streets of Soweto, Banzabazola, I was like, Dinsang mona, ke go recognize abuti okay, hello. Ke go recognize uswaka okay, hello. Kazi, hello. Ke haba tla bana ba ifo. Hle, ko jarateng. I think it was my smooth criminal cousin, his sister, my sister, and who do you call it? His sister of which would have been the oldest, so she's like 4 years older. His sister, my sister, go St. Matthews. His sister, my cousin. I hope I'm not confabulating here, but I do certainly remember, because like the details are eluding me. I do certainly remember that the smooth criminal cousin was there, right? And my sister was definitely there. As for the other two, I might be confabulating. I am not sure, but I do believe it was my bestie cousin that was my age, and the sister of of this boy, because they tended to when they came to visit Kotladi for the holidays, they came together, the sister and the brother, the two of them. I need to open for my cat.